It has been 3 weeks since my wife broke a leg, and today is the day when I start getting back in the garage. Loads of stuff to do, but in this video I think I'm mostly going to try and concentrate on getting all these bits ready for some paint. Right, I'm on wobbly cam, and I'm sort of matting down all this stuff that I'm going to paint. I bought some paint, and I'm going to be using the spray gun on this to get better results. Although the rattle can stuff looks pretty good. I'll show you that when I get down to the paint shop and pick it up again. Some people were complaining that maybe if you can see the frame number there nicely, some people were saying that it's a bad dude doing the old sandblasting, but my sandblaster knows what it's doing. One thing that has happened, well, not happened, but reared its ugly head, is this. I've got quite a bit of work I have to sort out here. I'm not sure what's happened. The bracket on the back side of the frame, let's have a look. You can see where the bracket sort of is on the back of the frame there. I think there's been too much weight on some sort of rack or something, and it sort of pulled it all out of shape a little bit. So I have to try and beat that a little bit, flatten it down as much as I can. Maybe a little bit of angle grinding, and most definitely a little bit of filler. I'm not an expert at this, but I'm going to do my best to make this look good. This is an area where you really see once the scooter is put together, so you have to be has to be as smooth as possible. A technique that I have used in the past, I actually use a dolly. What I'm trying to do now is try and flatten this down as much as possible. The metal is quite thick here, so I'm really not sure what's happened there, and I didn't spot that before it went to the blasters, which is a bit annoying. But what I'm going to do is flatten this down. I do have some primer lying around somewhere. I'm not going to, obviously not going to put that in the garage because it's too cold at the moment. But what you have to try and do is find, I'm trying to get this edge on the back side of the bracket, and I have to just gently tap it. See if I can get it a little bit flatter than it is now, at least. Obviously, the object of the game is to try and get that. What I'm trying to do is trying to get it as flush as I can, so they can hide it with filler. And that is the reason why I have given the leg shields to a proper expert. So I'm be looking forward to see how they are. Also, the leg shields, they had extra holes because it just used like what they called self what's-he-face screws. It'd gone through, so there was a couple of extra holes in the leg shield, so it's going to weld those up for me as well. I do see on the rear footboard that I need to have got an extra hole for some strange reason that I have to get rid of. But this is going to be, I'm going to be using quite a bit of time on this, I reckon. Probably the rest of the evening. So probably turn the camera off. You get the gist. I'll turn the camera off. I obviously don't want to push. That was actually quite nice. I actually don't want to push the metal through, so they end up with a dent here. I just want to try and flatten this down as much as I can, and then I'll get a really gentle disc grinder on here to try and smooth it out. There is a little bit of pit in here where the light has been, and all this is going to have to be filled with some filler, and I have to smooth it down. Hopefully. I really don't want to fuck this up. It's not my scooter. So that's wobbly cam again. So I used very little pressure after I knocked it down as far as I could. I used very little pressure with a very fine disc, and as you can see now, that ridge has gone. And luckily, with the way that the light is here, you can see I've got a low spot here, probably where the rack was pulled on the metal. Now I can't knock those out from the inside because we've got the bracket, so that's going to be sort of impossible. You can see I've got a small low spot here at the side of this, here, and before the light there you can see a small low spot, and here there's a bit of all sorts going on. I think the metal's been pushed in here. And on this side, which is really bad, it's not too bad. You can see I've got a bit of a ridge going on here. I don't want to take any more metal off. Here we've got a dent, but as the same as the other side, this has also got the bracket on the back side. That could actually be original spot weld, to be honest. And we've got something going on here a little bit. But like I said, I don't want to take off too much metal. I also like to see these French bits a little bit more prominent. So I'm going to get my sandpaper out there a little bit as well, because I have to surface the whole rear end here with primer. I'll have a look at that later on. I'm not too happy about that. It's a little bit too, so I'm going to have to use quite a bit of filler on that. I'll see if I can get a tiny bit more out of that ridge there before I apply the filler. Right, I'm back in the garage. I've actually been out here a couple of times this week. I have welded up the hole and taken the old angle grinder to it. You can see some indentations on there that need to be filling. And I've also primered the rear end of this beauty. It's going to be a beauty at least. I have to try and angle my camera down so you're going to have a quick look. There you go, and you can see now, you definitely can see when you put the matte primer on there, you can see the indentations and that's on there. It's got some, I think this is like rust pitting, and what I want to do is add some filler on here, but as little as possible, because tonight my goal is to try and fill this and let it dry. I've got my heater on full blast. It's actually warm today. It was, what was it? 6-7 degrees or something like that. Lovely. So spring is on its way. But anyway, I want to fill this with as little filler as possible, so that it doesn't have to use hours and hours to try and sand this down, because I need to sand the whole frame down and the footboards ready for paint. And tomorrow, Sunday, it is Saturday today. I'm in the garage on a Saturday night as usual. Tomorrow, Sunday, we are going to be painting all these parts. I hope it turns out okay, because what that means is when I get to paint it, I'll be able to start putting this puppy back together again, which I'm really looking forward to. So, this is not a tutorial, and I am not by any figment of the imagination, I am not a painter, but I did say I'd give it a go. I didn't promise him, the owner, fantastic results, but I think the frame looks all right, and the welds look all right as well, so let's hope I don't fuck it up completely. I'm trying to figure out where to start. There's a little indentation there, and then just round the hole where the rack has pushed it down. The light is here, so that's not really that important. Tiny bit here that I'd like to smooth out, and then obviously these two pitting marks. I think I'm going to start here, actually, to be honest. I'm just going to smear over and just fill that like that. I'm using a plastic bendy type tool. Right, here goes nothing. I think I'm going to use a little bit less. I've got some marks here for some reason on the side here. The thing is, this is two components. This stuff gets really hard, so it can take a while to sand down again. What I'm going to do tonight when I've done this is put another coat of, you can see there's a massive hole there, really. Just trying to follow the contours of the scooter here. I've got some like someone's hit it with a hammer there. It's definitely a high point now. I'm just going to have to fill it in and drag it over. Looks like I'm going to have to use ages to sand this down. That edge is okay, so I'm just going to scrape that away. And then another pass on that one. I think I'm going to leave it at that, just about 20 years ago I remember I did this on a Vespa. I got told off by the painter. Good job. I am the painter this time, I suppose. The holes I'm just going to have to poke through or something once I start flattening this down. It seems to me that I have covered the important areas. And now I'm going to do the footboards. And to do the footboards, I'm going to put on some music, and so I don't get a copyright strike, I'm going to turn the camera off. Right. On the packet of the filler, it said I had to wait 15 minutes at 20 degrees. It's not 20 degrees here, just this area around the scooter, maybe 15. So I went inside, got a cup of tea, and left it for an hour. And it seems to have set okay now. And I have done the rear footboards. Because I'm new to this, I decided not to use a sanding block because everything's curved in it, and I don't want to use the square edge on there. So I thought I'd show you how I fuck up the rear end. The tripod's in the way. How's the angle? Something like that, I think should be okay. On the packet with the filler, it says you can start off with 80 grit and work your way down to 180. But I'm just doing 180 because I haven't really got that much filler on here. And what I'm doing, I'm just rubbing it by hand without a block, like I said. And I'm rubbing quite gently, so it's taking quite a long while. I don't really want to get rid of all the... I mean, it would be perfect if I could get rid of all the imperfections, but as you know, I'm not a pro, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But as long as I can get it as even as possible, like here, where that pitting was. And I think, because this is where the smallest layer is, I think I'm going to start off there and see how it goes. Obviously, all these edges where the filler are, they need to be well and truly blended in, because very often, if you can see an edge here, you'll be able to see it when you paint it as well. And that would be actually worse than if I didn't feel it at all. You know what I mean? I'm just gently stroking it. I actually can feel the ridge here through the sandpaper, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more aggressive with that. Get that down there. Problem with using such fine sandpaper to start off with is that it gets worn out quite quickly. What I'm going to have to do is prime it again tomorrow when I get to the booth, because it's just too cold in the garage at the moment. And that's when you get runs and all sorts of problems. It really needs to be 20 plus degrees. And it only takes like 20 minutes to dry. So it's not going to mean that I'm going to use a lot more time, to be honest. That feels good. This is going to be a nightmare. I'll see you in about an hour's time. So now that I've got it pretty flat, I'm just finishing off with a bit of emery cloth. Let's give that a feel. I'm sort of concentrating on the edges here. I can't feel any edges. So that is going to be pretty good, I think. That feels good. So I'm going to knock it on the head tonight, and thanks for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, don't forget to do the old subscribe, give me your thumbs up, and the next one, obviously, gonna go to paint. Ta-ra!